transparency on. Late night marriage with the riches. Late night marriage with the riches. You need that real talk, this is what you want. Lights off, transparency on, let's go.
Hey, what's going on, fam? What's going on? We are so sorry that we are late, but as you can tell by the episode says, "My bad, honey. My bad."
My bad. Welcome to Late Night Marriage with the Riches.
I am Damon Rich,
I'm Tamika Rich.
and yeah, we are in the building. We are so sorry that we miss you guys. We are so sorry that we are late. We are so sorry about a whole lot of things, but tell a neighbor, tell a friend to go ahead and jump in to the late night lounge with us, where we're gonna keep it real, and it might be that we keep it brief. Hey, what's going on, Brandon? What's going on,
Brandon.
Killer? Yeah. Hey, um, man, I don't know. Brandon fastly becoming one of my favorite people, but I'm gonna keep. I got to keep working on that to see, like, just see if he gonna be one of them. Now I'm teasing with you, B. You one of my favorite people. So, yeah. We are glad to be here, and we just gonna talk. We're gonna talk about conflict in relationship, and we're gonna use how we ended up coming on late tonight.
We call this conflict or
When you kind of
communication.
communication,
Mhm.
conflict, all of that. If you
Yeah.
have bad communication, you're gonna have some conflict.
That's true.
And conflict doesn't have to be this
Bad.
intense, I'm about to choke them out type of thing.
True.
Sometimes conflict is really, we had a disagreement and we needed to get back on the same page, right? So I'm going to tell the story of how we ended up late tonight. I'm going to tell the story.
Yeah, just keeping it real.
Yeah, just keeping it real. How we end up late tonight. Life gives you content, is what they tell me. So here go the content that life has given us tonight. So let me take you back. 1976 Sicily in my Sophia Petrillo voice. If you ain't on the Golden Girls, I don't know what you're doing. One of my favorite shows. Bunch of old crotchety white women. Just hilarious. Anyway, so I had an interview tonight on a podcast with Champ Franklin, and the interview got off to a late start because of some technical difficulties. So got on the interview, and y'all know me, I'm shy, so I don't talk a lot. But the interview was good. The interview is good. I'm an introvert. I don't talk a lot. The interview was good. We got into some very good conversation with Champ and his co-host Legacy, and we really had some great conversation. So much so that we were on there almost 2 hours, right?
Right.
And about 15 minutes before, I hear a knock on I'm in my home studio. Right? I'm like, why she hear me talking? What's going on? So knock eventually went away. She didn't open the door or come in or anything like that.
Or beat the door
Start
down. Yelling.
Yeah, start yelling. None of that. So I came in. I'm like, oh, I'm finna get ready to eat. Where my bowl at? We having Taco Wednesday instead of Taco Tuesday. And I thought the day was. I should have told you. No, I should have told you not to do tacos. Tomorrow is National Burrito Day.
Okay.
I'm gonna have a burritos. Yeah, I'm gonna have me a burrito tomorrow. I love a good burrito.
Different now.
Yeah, they are. But anyway, so I come in, I'm finna eat, and she like, cause she had said something about what's love, what's going on, and I'm thinking she asking me about the show I just got off of. Clear communication is important. I'm thinking she asked me about the show I just got off of, and I'm like, hold on, where the taco bowl at? Oh, baby, them ain't got to be heated up. But are we doing the show tonight? Not what show? Our show. That's what I've been talking about this whole time. Babe, you got to be more specific. Do you know that all day long it has not even dawned on me that it's Wednesday?
Mm.
Like I knew it was Wednesday, but I hadn't thought about that it's Wednesday.
Right.
She's like, I can relate, I understand, but I just thought you knew. And my daughter sitting there telling me something. I thought we was all on the same page here. She come in for some comedic relief. Ain't nobody ask her for all that. But at any rate,
Right.
um, and I'm like, oh no, babe, I wasn't even thinking about that. So we briefly flirted with the idea of not having tonight show. Like, no, 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 no. Let's have the show. Let's get into the conversation. Let's make sure
Mhm.
we talk. And it's like, okay, but I hadn't even thought about it. And so just I just want to point this out. I want to just break it down.
Mhm.
Conflict often arises when we have an assumption about what we thought the other person understood.
Right.
I'm gonna say that for you again, real slow. Conflict often arises when we make an assumption about what we thought the other person understood. Now, luckily for us, this ain't turned into no heated argument,
Right.
debate, and whatever. We like, oh, okay.
But it could have,
It could have.
not tonight, but before or years back, or it depends on, what type of day you're having or where you are mentally.
It could
Yeah.
have. Thank God for me being so patient and understanding. And she wanted to go
Right.
there,
Yeah.
and I like, yeah, like,
I
nah, I ain't gonna take her there today. I'm gonna let us. Yeah.
Okay, babe.
That ain't what was going on.
Mm-mm.
Oh, my bad.
No, but hence the title, it was just kind of sort of like a my bad, honey. Like, oh, my bad.
Yeah,
And it didn't get crazy, but it could have.
yeah,
But a lot of times people just don't either take the time or get to the place where you communicate. And if you miss something or you off or the assumption is wrong, kind of like gather your thoughts or whatever and then quickly move to the same page
yeah.
instead of just staying off the same page or making an excuse or wanting to continually argue about it or make it a bigger deal than what it really was at the moment.
Well, I ain't gonna make it a bad deal right now, but when we get off this show,
Oh, okay.
no, I ain't gonna make it. It
It
happens, and
happens.
what's funny
It does.
is
It
because you
happens.
had said earlier, it's like it's already Wednesday, or something. You had said like you feel like you lost a day,
Right.
and so I'm like, I didn't realize I felt kind of the same way, like I lost a day, like I knew it was Wednesday, but I didn't think about it being Wednesday. But here's the thing: is when you have conflict, I think what often gets missed
Mm-hmm.
is the root, but we'll argue for days about the symptom,
For sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We won't deal with what the root of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
We will argue about the
The
symptom,
symptoms. Mm-hmm.
right? See, I don't know how you came up, but um and it is probably happening to you. I know you came up a little soft, but is when you got that switch, what's one of the things they would do with that switch? They would start peeling the leaves off of it. They peel the little, I don't know, and maybe they beat the leaves off
Yes.
yours. No, they wanted it. They didn't want nothing. See, they didn't want them leaves to have no drag on that swing.
Right.
My people, they want that joker to come through the air. They wanted, they wanted to grab you. So, but they would skin it down.
Right.
They got it down to
Mhm.
just a bare branch switch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what we don't do when we go into conflict is say, hold on, what's the leaves?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, what are the symptoms? Because the one thing I don't want to argue about is the symptoms.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So think about somebody being sick, right? You can go all day trying to address the vomiting. Let's just say that's what they got. They vomited out of both ends. That's great. I can give you some kaopectate, some Pepto Bismol, and we can deal with vomiting. But why are we vomiting?
Right.
Right? And in disagreement, a lot of
What's the
times
cause?
we don't
The
get
root
to the
cause.
root cause of why we're having the moment, why we're vomiting, why is this coming up at this time in this particular way.
Mm-hmm. And even sometimes, and I was thinking earlier, just from listening to different conversations about marriage and people, a lot of times the small foxes that we talk about
Mm-hmm.
are sort of like the symptoms or the small things that you're really mad at. He didn't do this, she didn't do this, he didn't take out the trash, and all of these little things that really kind of are aggravations or things you don't necessarily like, but it is a deeper issue or root there
Mm-hmm.
that the issue is really about.
Yeah.
And so, since you don't dig deep, have the hard or tough conversations to kind of talk about those things and get resolved, so you just bicker and get upset and then go, oh, it's about all of these small things.
Be petty.
Pet.
You live in the petty. When you say bicker, that's what I think about. It's like I live.
Not necessarily petty, because sometimes they are real concerns. You know what I'm saying? But not
Mhm.
enough, or things that would say marriage is over, or this is why I'm walking out, or divorcing, or we grew apart. You know what I'm saying? When you go,
Mhm.
we grew apart because he doesn't wash dishes, or she
Yeah.
doesn't cook, or
We grew apart.
anymore, or
Whew.
crazy things. Just off the top of my head, because sometimes people say that, but you don't really know what it is that they grew apart in, or
Yeah.
the what is it, unreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable differences.
Oh, thank you, irreconcilable differences.
Yeah, and a lot of time people I outgrew them or we grew apart. You didn't grow apart. You didn't grow.
Hmm.
Forget that we grew apart.
You
You
didn't grow
didn't grow.
together.
You didn't grow at all.
Mm,
You didn't
that's good.
mature. Oh, we grew apart. No, you didn't. Actually, your relationship, your marriage is going awry because you didn't grow.
Hmm.
Neither one of you grew. You're under the illusion that you grew. He's under the illusion that he grew, and neither one of you actually grew. You didn't mature. You
Right.
actually regressed
Mm,
in your own individual
that's good.
maturity, right?
Right.
And so I think that, and when I say being petty, you know, one of the things we have like I said, when you are arguing about symptoms, you will devolve into pettiness. You will devolve into attacking each other. You will devolve into a whole bunch of things
Right.
because I want to know what the issue is. What is the issue?
Hmm.
And let me tell you something that doesn't help anything. Saying you should know,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Because even if you believe they playing dumb,
Hmm.
let me remove all doubt
Right.
that you understand what this conversation is about right now.
Hmm.
Let me just go ahead. This is what the conversation is about.
Right.
Oh, if that's what the conversation is about, are we really talking about the root issue?
Because if you really want to get to the root issue and bring resolve or peace, then you swallow, if it's pride, ego, whatever it is, and go, oh, maybe they didn't. Or if they did, let me, be the bigger person and state what the concern or whatever it is you think they know.
Right. Here, ooh, because
Hmm.
I had something happen to me recently. So, y'all, this doggone probability and stats been giving me a fit. I didn't pass my test. I got to study again. I know math, but just because I know math don't mean I know probability and statistics.
Mm.
What? Why are you saying that? Because a person could, or I don't understand probability and statistics. I'm struggling with understanding parts of it. So why
Right.
am I saying that? Because they may know, but they may not understand. They
Mm.
may not
That's
have a
true. That's true.
comprehension of
Of
the
what?
impact of the issue on you. So they may be looking at it as minor and you think they're belittling it. But the
Hmm.
reality is they don't understand the significance of it to you.
Right. And
Right.
and that happens a lot just with us as men and women, just because we see things differently,
Yes.
or we take things differently. So that happens so much or so many times in relationships when you're going, they are they really don't understand. Sometimes you say that, or you don't think they care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they don't really care or have a heart, and they're trying to, but they don't realize how much it means to you, um, because it may mean a little something different to them.
Yeah.
And not that they don't think it's important, they just don't know how important.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up I think something. I don't know if it's the greatest illustration, but I'm gonna bring up something that recently happened for us. So I know that you have, dark places, tight places, whatever, even going through the car wash. That's a thing for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's times where I'm like, babe, it's a car wash. Even the one that's real bright. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Come on, babe. We got to get over it. But
Right.
that's your thing, right? We go places. I've had sit in the back of cramped vehicles because on the Uber because you need to be in front because of motion. Okay. All right, cool.
Motion sickness.
Motion
Yeah.
sickness. Okay, cool. So I understand that regardless of how I feel about it. I understand it and I try and be accommodating and understanding
And compassionate.
and
toward it.
compassionate, right? So fast forward, we had some salmon steak recently, right? And watch, I'm finna point this out because I want people to understand that we
Right.
often do this to each other and we don't realize it.
Mhm.
So I told you because normally we do salmon fillets, and it's like, oh, the bones ain't this, and that, and
Right.
I have a thing about fish and bones,
Mhm.
right? So I was like, I don't really like this, but I'm gonna try. And then I got a big bone. I didn't swallow it or anything, but I was like, nah, I can't eat this. Because I ran into two bones in a short period of time. Like, nah, I can't eat this. And you was like, I don't understand. All you got to do is you got to do this. And you try and tell me that, no. And then I had to like really get stern. I don't want it.
Right.
And in that moment, you was like, I don't understand. And you weren't understanding. But just like the thing is for you, you can eat fish and it doesn't bother you. You
Right.
know how to eat it. You like to eat it. I eat faster. I have a hang up about fish
Picking
and
out the
bones,
bones.
right? And so, but in that moment, I didn't feel like you understood me or you weren't offering me the same compassion of saying, I know this is an issue for him, right? Now,
Because
hold on. Let me finish.
Mhm.
Let me finish. So, in that moment, because this is where I feel like conflict happens too, I had a choice. I can be offended and then let it blow up, or understand that she may understand, but she doesn't understand because
right.
it's an issue for me doesn't mean it's an issue for her.
True.
And I think a lot of conflicts go unresolved in relationships because we don't take that moment to step back. And even though it is bothering to us, taking a moment to say why they may not get it.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was only going to say for us in that particular situation because we hardly ever, or you anyways, have any kind of fish with bones. And this was like, one of those just chances or moments. Like I would normally give you that or serve you that. Because one, you don't really eat seafood or fish like that anyways. That's my thing. But every once in a while when you do, it is like the salmon fillets or something like this. So this particular time, it really didn't dawn on me. Oh, it's fish. It has a few bones in it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a long time ago you ate some fish, picked out some bones. It's not your thing. But you're right. I didn't take it like that serious.
Yeah. And it was serious for me because it's not what I eat.
Right.
Right. And so, but that's how sometimes people think, oh, they ain't taking me serious, so they don't feel a certain kind of way, or this or that.
Or just
and
get over it.
Or just get over it. It's just this. All you got to do is this. Like, nah. And even when we went to a Fish Fry Friday and Elder Gibson gave me some mullet, I was like, I don't really do this because of the bone. He said, eat this piece right here. You won't run into the bones. I still ran into a bone or two, but I was so picky. Like, is how I ate it. I didn't eat all of the fish. Right. I just ate that little chunk of meat, and I still ran into a small bone or two.
Right.
But I was almost like filter feeding. I put that piece of meat out. Thought I had indentures just to make sure I wasn't getting any bones.
Right.
Because I had a bad experience as a kid with fish and bones. Right. Now, I don't not eat fish because I don't like the taste. There are some fish that are fishy to me, but in general, I don't eat fish because I don't like bones, and I
Correct.
eat entirely too fast.
Entirely too fast.
Right. So,
Right.
and some people will just slow down and then it's, but I've eaten entirely
Preference.
fast for my entire life, and I do slow down, but still, when it comes to fish, I'm apprehensive about it, even if I slow down.
Yeah.
Right. But taking the time to understand on both sides of the equation where the other person is coming from
Mm-hmm.
is so important.
It is.
It can head off a lot of bad. It can be the difference between having a contentious conversation and a constructive conversation
Mm-hmm.
just by stepping back and trying to take in the other person's view.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like, my bad, honey, is like, and sometimes it only takes that. My bad. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it like that. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't consider that. My bad. I didn't understand or know that concerning you. Right. My
Exactly.
bad.
Yeah.
And
Let's pivot, or let's do something different, or
yeah,
let's, because the goal is being on the same team. So let's work it out and get back on track with whatever it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Hey, listen, y'all got any questions for us? Drop them down in there. If you're having some communication challenges or whatever, you just got a question you want to drop, or you got any type of challenge or conversation, let us know. We're going to get this thing to where we can start bringing you guys live on air to ask your questions. Um,
Oh,
that,
awesome.
yeah. We're going to get to that point where we can get you in the queue, get you on, get your question answered, and get you moving on off. So yeah, we're gonna do that. So yeah, tonight I don't know how we just lost the whole day. I don't know. That
It
whole day
happens.
just kind of ducked in and like, surprise, I'm here. Like what? Where you been? So
Yeah.
um
I was just thinking though, because we're talking about communication, and we have communication exercises that we talk about to people that come for relationship coaching. And so one of the things that we would have done, so it just tells you there is nothing perfect. That we tell people a lot of times is to slow down and go, um, one, state everything. So the obvious, not that
mhm
you miss or assume. The assumption should be as less as possible. So
mhm
putting all the information out there, and kind of what we do is, this is what I'm saying. Is this what you are hearing or understanding?
right.
And so even sometimes you can go so fast in the conversation or still assume that you miss little things. So I'm saying that to say that communication is always an ongoing thing and process in marriage and
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, our biggest issue or problem is communication. Even if you get the skills and the tools, and you do really well at them, it doesn't mean that you won't have misunderstandings or conflicts, um, even with knowing how to communicate really
Yeah.
well.
Agreed. Agreed. I'm yeah, agreed. 100%.
I do believe they become less,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, and that you are easy, um, that you can resolve the conflict a little sooner.
Yeah.
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 But it doesn't mean that you won't have it.
Right. You're gonna listen, the word of God says it is impossible that offense will not come.
Mm.
You're going to have offense. You're gonna have conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It is what you choose to do in that moment
Right.
that makes a lot of difference. What do you choose to do in the
Exactly.
moment of conflict?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when we do the knife teaching, one of the key principles of the knife teaching is allow friction to make you stronger, not weaker as
Mm-hmm.
a couple. Friction friction only dulls the blade of your relationship if you don't adjust the angle at which it comes across the tool,
Right.
which is the conflict that's meant to sharpen it.
Mm-hmm.
The conflict comes to expose something so that you can get better together as a unit.
Right.
If you don't adjust the angle, you're going to dull the blade of your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and your relationship will not be able to cut through difficult times. But if big if you adjust the angle, you're going to get massive results.
Yeah.
It's going to still
It's
be a
about
little
that angle.
uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to, on the other side, you're going to like, ooh, we better for this.
Right.
We better for this.
Right. Definitely uncomfortable. There is no comfort in conflict.
No
Yeah.
comfort in conflict. No, but you can get through it. And you know where you can get a level of comfort in conflict.
Mm-hmm.
This is how. When you immediately agree. When you immediately agree
Mm-hmm.
that that's not my enemy.
For sure.
When you immediately agree that that's not my enemy. When you immediately agree that this is not me against them.
Mm-hmm. And I think that happens so many times, and that's just something you have to put in your head as a reminder or whatever, or that's why we should be slow to speak, but remembering we're on the same team. We're on the same team, because sometimes you're at each other so bad you forget that, hey, we're trying to accomplish the same goal here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What's going on, Shanta? Listen,
Hey,
this is,
thanks for joining.
and I'm glad you said that. Think about this.
Mhm.
Think about, I'm going to go to the Chicago Bulls. Think
Mhm.
about some of the greatest sports teams. In the middle of the Chicago Bulls winning multiple championships, in the middle of practice one day, Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr in the eye,
Ooh.
blacked his eye, right? He felt so bad afterwards, right? And I'm not talking about violence. I just want y'all to get the lesson. They are on the same team. And for a moment, Michael forgot. And he did something that he later regretted.
Mm.
Now, Steve Kerr ain't go out there and say, I ain't going to pass him the ball no more. Steve Kerr said, I realize people make mistakes. He apologized and rectified it. And we're still teammates. And we got a common mission, a common goal. And that is to win basketball games so we can declare ourselves the greatest.
Right.
Right? So he did that. And this is what people don't sometimes we forget in the midst of relationship. There are going to be those practice moments. I ain't talking about putting hands on each other.
Right.
But there are going to be those practice moments. They don't bring in a whole nother team to practice against. They practice against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they play as real in that practice as they would in the game so that they can get better on the court, so that the public product is actually better.
Exactly.
You got to understand, y'all are going to have those conflicts are going to be your practice moments, but never forget that you're on the same team.
Even when I don't like him, you know what I'm saying? When we don't particularly like each other or disagree, a lot of times you still have to remember that you're on the same team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and go back to purpose.
Yes.
You know, and what's our purpose? What we're trying to accomplish as a team.
Yes.
And not individually.
Yeah. I would tell any couple, in matter of fact, the show I just got off of, and I was telling them, I said, here's the key to marriage. You've got to have shared purpose. Shared purpose means this marriage is going to serve something greater than us. And that doesn't mean it can't still be about us, but this marriage is going to serve something greater than us. Right? And I was saying on the show this. Now, I'm not telling people just stay together, just be staying together, but I want to remind you, people that like to lie on God, God is not schizophrenic. What do you mean by that?
He's not.
God is not going to, and I don't know why I was thinking about a particular popular prophet who said that this was my husband, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden this wasn't your husband. God is not schizophrenic, right? You have to believe so strongly in the purpose that God brought y'all together.
Right.
That you realize when we hit bumps in the road, and this same thing I just said to the people on the show, or part of it. Let's just look at Jesus from a practical perspective. Just as a practical, take away the divinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take away the divinity. Just let's look at Jesus on a divine mission as a husband,
Right.
right? Now, let's talk about all the things his bride, his would-be bride, how they would respond differently. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And ooh, I got a marriage for us to cover. You know how we've gone through the Bible. I don't think we talked about Lot and his wife.
I don't think we did that.
We're gonna talk about Lot and his wife. Marriages in the Bible. We go next week. We're gonna talk about Lot and his wife because
Okay.
a revelation came out tonight while I was on the podcast with Champ. That, oh my goodness, it took me by surprise. I'm like, ooh, and it's a lot of meat on that bone. So anyway, so look at Jesus in practical perspective. All right, practical husband. How many of you would still be cool with your husband after he called you Satan? Leave behind me, say, Peter is a part of the bride.
Right.
Okay. How many of you would not be upset with your husband for letting someone waste an expensive perfume that could have been used for you? Okay. All right. How many of you,
Mm-hmm.
no, I better stay away from that. People might take it the wrong way. How many
stay
of
away.
you would be okay with your husband say, I'm going to go out here and die for all these people who don't even like me? And leave me back here? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. How many of you would still want to be with your husband if he wasn't there when the critical time when your family member was sick and passed away, and he wasn't there, he was off doing his own thing, knew they was sick, and instead of coming on when they called for him, he decided he wasn't gonna come? How many of you still be down with that dude? Jesus.
Long as I know he coming to resurrect.
Yeah. But they ain't know that. They ain't know that at the time. They like, God, he stank right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I say all of that, and I'm just looking at it. There are many things that Jesus did that if we looked at it without an eye on purpose, we would say he was a bad husband.
Mm-hmm. We would.
How
But
look-
that's the same thing as really, and we've talked about this, to know that marriage isn't really about us.
Yeah.
You know?
It's about him.
Yeah, marriage isn't about me. It's not about you. It's about God getting the glory out of the relationship or
Yes.
the marriage a lot of times. And so when we go into it, a lot of times selfishly, even saying we're not, or thinking we'll compromise more, thinking we'll compromise, saying that more than we actually do compromise.
Yeah.
Going into it, we think it's about our happiness or
Yes.
how God wants us to feel
God wants
or
me to be happy.
or in marriage. And it's actually for so much more than that. And so it's almost like going to church, and I ain't even gonna say younger because people still go to church, and you go, oh, you get saved, you go to the altar and all of the things, and then it's like, oh, the wand is waved, they pray, lay hands or whatever, and you think this is all I got to do, and go back and live your life. But there's work to be done. The word tells us faith without works is dead. Works there. You have to work out your soul salvation. So work. It's all throughout the word. Same thing in a relationship. There's work that you have to do.
You do
So there
have to
is
do
nothing
work.
that just comes together and you go, oh, we're
Ooh.
going to be happy. We're going to be this. We're going to be that. And a lot of times we assume or we think that or we even want that, but it's so much work to get us there, and so many things that we have, conflicts and things that we have to go through to get there.
So when we finished the show last week, we had my wife was beating me up. She was, rah, rah, you say marriage ain't hard work. Marriage is hard work. that hard and hard. No, she ain't say it
No, I
like she
wasn't.
ain't say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But we was having a conversation about marriage is not hard work because that's my stance.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you say that, and we were just kind of going through the dialogue. I'm gonna let you take it to where you laying it on.
Remember?
You don't remember?
No, I was just feeling it out at that moment because I had this. You'll have to remind me, and then I could probably go from there.
Being a Christian,
Being a Christian,
the revelation you came to.
it was the same thing, right? I was
Yeah,
saying it was
more or less. Like when I was saying that marriage is not hard work, and you were kind of like, I don't know, babe, I don't know. And I was like, it's not hard work. Marriage is not hard work. What makes marriage seem like hard work is getting rid of the selfishness within yourself for marriage to work.
Mm-hmm.
That is what makes marriage seem like hard work. Our resistance to selfishness. And so you had
I said marriage wasn't the hard thing or hard work. The two becoming in one or coming together.
the dying.
Yeah.
So
the
that's what you
dying.
went
That's why I said
because
the
what you
dying.
said is you came out and
You're
you
right.
said, babe, and you brought it full circle. You said being a Christian ain't hard. It's dying
Mm-hmm.
to be a Christian that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the same
Same
thing in
thing in
marriage.
marriage.
It's not being married is not hard. The hard work is not that. It is the dying
Mm-hmm.
for two things to become one
Right.
that is the hard thing.
Yep.
So the marriage itself is not hard work because once you find out that you die,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
Die
sharing,
to yourself.
die to yourself,
Your ways, your selfishness, your will,
y-
all of the
your
things.
plans,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then it becomes easier. So I was just on the show, I was just telling somebody, I said, man, as a husband, I have this principle. Husbands have to be the first to die. It's a hard pill. I have a lot of men that say, I understand it, but it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so the host on the show asked me the question. He said, well, what about me? Why do I have to die? What about my life? And I said this to him. Man, the Holy Spirit was kicking. I was like, man, I ain't trying to teach the Bible on here, but the Holy Spirit just kicking. I said, listen, I felt the same way you did. Why I gotta die? Why I gotta sacrifice? Why I gotta keep asking more and more of me, God? I said, but when I got on the other side of it, and I'm still not telling you it's easy,
Mm-hmm.
I found that the level of freedom that came in my life from being submitted to God was worth more than what anyone else thought about me,
Mm-hmm.
including my wife. It didn't matter what you thought about me. It didn't matter what people, he, him, pay. None of that mattered when I experienced the true freedom of obedience and sacrifice to God.
Mm-hmm. And submission. And that's
Yeah.
the part a lot of times I think we take lightly.
Yeah,
Is
but
the submitting part.
but that's what. And so now, where you think, what does the word say? It says, he who seeks to keep his life will lose it, but he
Mhm.
who loses life for my sake
Yeah.
will gain it.
There you
So
go. Right
that is a marriage principle.
Mhm.
If
We like to
yours
read it, not do it.
exactly, it's a marriage principle. That's why I say there's no part of the Bible that I don't read and see marriage. When I read that, if what God is saying to me as a husband, if you try and hold on to your bravado, if you try and hold on to your masculine, this image of masculinity that you have been taught, if you try and hold on to all of that, the
Mhm.
very life you're trying to hold on to, you're going to lose it. But if you let all of that stuff go,
Right.
the man that you're going to become, because you're doing it for my sake,
Mhm.
is going to be so transformative. It's going to
Right.
be so different. It's going to be so blessed.
Mhm.
I ain't say it's going to be easy,
Right.
but it's
See-
going to be so blessed.
Right. Because it's hard.
Not marriage, not marriage.
But this work is.
It in the work, but you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I thought about some. Jesus, listen. Oh, and watch this. Watch this.
Mhm.
Hold on. About to
And
get
I
in
think
it.
I talked about this. You about to talk about this cup?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I am. I
Okay.
am, but I it's something else.
Okay.
Adam, when the devil came, Adam said, and God talked to him. Adam said, "This woman you gave me."
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Jesus said it too? Jesus said, "This woman you gave me."
Uh-huh.
Huh?
When did he say it?
Chandra, you tell me the time and place. We'll be there. Let's do it. You know when Jesus said it, when he said, "If it be thy will,
Mhm.
let this cup pass from me."
Mhm.
Cup was the wife.
Mhm.
Watch this.
Right.
But the difference between Jesus and Adam is Jesus said, "But nevertheless,
Nevertheless.
not my will,
Mhm.
but your will."
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
That cup represented and I won't even say it represented the wife, it represented the marriage. God, the consummation of this marriage, if it be your will, let
Mhm.
this pass from me. I don't want this bride no more.
Right.
But nevertheless,
Mhm.
not my will,
Right.
your will. In
And
too
we.
many marriages, hold on, man.
Yep.
Too many marriages give up because it is about their will.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead, babe.
No, that's what I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh,
Basically, a lot
sorry.
of times when we get to the point where we go, I can't do this anymore, or we're all in our feelings or the emotion of this is over, or those irreconcilable differences again, all the things we talked about earlier. Um, then we have to remember that this is not about us.
It's
And
not about us.
nevertheless, and so a lot of times we don't do nevertheless. We go, oh, this cup is too much, it's bitter, and we don't keep focus on purpose and what and the glory that God is going to get out of it and why he sent, because the whole time Christ was here, it was always about the Father and the mission and the purpose, you
Yeah.
know. And so a lot of times we don't realize, and that's when you talked about marriage has to be shared purpose, or the two coming together being shared purpose for God to get the glory of why he brought you two together. A lot of times we don't see that, especially during those difficult times, during those times of that cup,
Mm-hmm.
when it's hard. Because even when he was in the garden, the disciples was there and he was like, just stay up with me because this is too much. And they didn't.
Ooh.
And then he's sweating and he's, um, so many things going on, in emotions. And it's like, I don't think, I'm sure he at that moment, I don't think I could do this. Even when he was on the cross, why would have you forsaken me in
Mm-hmm.
this? And a lot of times we feel forsaken in marriage. We feel all of these things that Christ felt going to that cross, but then it wasn't about him. So he still did it. He had that nevertheless. I'm going to walk this out. I'm going to accomplish it. And you see what happens on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. Chandra said when the bitterness in that cup is so overwhelming and hard to deal with, and we don't make it to the nevertheless. Absolutely.
For
Because
sure.
because
Sure.
you were saying something. So I told you
Mm-hmm.
it, it's a book of marriage. When I look at the fact that when Jesus got up, you, oh, y'all want me to tell you how to make it in your marriage? I'm finna give you some game. I'm finna give you some game. Boy, if we would only teach some of this practical stuff out the word.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things, and this is something I shared on the show, and we're gonna have to. I want to talk about Lot's wife in submission and the consequences of not submitting. Mm, yeah, but I'm gonna stay away from Lot's wife because we're gonna talk about that next
Next
week.
week.
We're gonna talk about Lot's wife next week. Matter of fact, the title is gonna show the show gonna be "Woman Just Submit." Okay, that's gonna be the name title. All right,
Ooh.
"Woman Just Submit," and here's why. But anyway, here's the game for your marriage. Jesus was going through a difficult time with his bride. Because remember, he died for everyone
Mm-hmm.
so that everyone could have the opportunity to be the bride, be a part of the brideship. He has some parts of his bride's behavior saying, "You ain't my husband."
Right.
Pharisees, Sadducees, whatever. They rejected him. He has some that says, "You my husband, but you're going to do what I want you to do, Peter. I don't want you to go on the cross. You're not going to die." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When it came time for him to march towards the consummation, I want y'all to this where the game starts. He went through brutal punishment unjustly, but he never lifted a hand or a word to deliver himself. This must be. I've got it. I must. He kept telling his disciple,
Right.
the Son of Man must suffer these things. If my family is going to be good, if my wife is going to be good, if our marriage is going to be good, the Son of Man must suffer these things. I've got to go through some things. Here's the beginning. Here's the beginning. When Jesus was carrying the cross, and I've been saying this a lot to men lately, if God wrapped in flesh needed help carrying a wooden cross, what makes you think you don't need some men around you to help carry your marriage? What makes you think you don't need some women around you to help tote the cross of marriage?
So true.
And a lot of women and a lot of men, a lot of husbands and a lot of wives are messing up in marriage because they don't have people around them to help them tote it when it gets heavy. And that's what makes that nevertheless hard. And that's what makes that bitterness and the bitterness in that cup so hard to even get to your nevertheless, because you have not invested in surrounding yourself with people, and even some of the good people you have around you, you won't open your mouth.
Right.
You won't open your mouth so that they can help you tote it. Because what a lot of times we like being surrounded by when we think we're sacrificing is we want cheerleaders. And sometimes you need people who are correctors.
Yeah. And sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's pride, sometimes it's embarrassment, whatever the enemy can throw at you to keep you isolated in the situation.
Guilt,
Guilt, shame, all of the things which Christ died for and we don't have to have, it just is what it is, and it doesn't make us less than to bring that out and get the help that we need, share the things that we need. All throughout the word is telling us doing the confession one to another, sharing with one another. It's all about the people.
We read the word, but we don't like to live it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. No. But go ahead.
No. And just unity and coming together. And like you say, it's nothing better than having that community or that person or those people around you to help carry it, especially when you feel like you can't.
Right. So watch. First, I need a community to help me tote it. Right? Marriage was always a community thing. It was never meant to be a what goes on in this house stays in this house. Marriage was always meant to be a community thing. I show it to you from scripture. Now, watch this. So now that I have people to help me tote it, right? I have to release certain people that realizing that in my most critical hour, I won't have some people to lean on because it wasn't for them to be there in that season. So you've got to learn the seasons of community. Okay? You got to learn the seasons of necessary community.
For sure.
He took them to pray with him, said, y'all couldn't even keep your eyes open. Right? Now, there's and I'm kind of skipping through some things. Let me tell you another nugget that can help you with your marriage. Another nugget. Watch this. Jesus got on the cross and they said something. They say, if you him, call down a legion of angels.
Right.
Jesus said, I cannot, right? I cannot have people, I cannot undo the mission of my marriage to save my own flesh. Hold on.
That's good.
Jesus decentralized the marriage. It's not about me. Right? I refuse to deliver myself I refuse it. And I have people come sometimes when my wife want a divorce or my husband want a divorce. I say, "Do you want a divorce?" "No, I want my marriage." But they want da. I say, if they want to go file the papers, let them go file the papers. You can sign them if they bring them to you, but you don't go down there and file them.
Mm.
But they want it. I said, if you want to go file them, then you must want it too.
Right.
But until they bring them papers to you and have you served, and even then, if you ain't got to file them, but if you don't sign them, it go through a default process, find out all this and that. I said, but you don't have to participate.
Mm.
Not like that.
Right.
Don't lift your own hand against your marriage. One of my favorite sayings that came to me years ago: if you know the devil is trying to destroy your spouse, don't be the weapon that he uses. Same is true about your marriage. If you know the devil is trying to destroy your marriage, and he is,
I was about to say, and we know that.
and we
for
know
sure.
that,
Right.
don't be the weapon that he uses.
Mm.
If you want out of this marriage, you go do the paperwork. Right? Here's the final thing, because there's so much. Here's the final thing. Final thing. Jesus said something on the cross. It is finished. But before he said that, he said, "Father, into thy hands I commit my spirit." How many of you have actually committed your marriage into the hands of the Father? Not when it's in trouble, not when things are going bad, not when challenges come, but sincerely submitted, said, "It is finished." Jesus relinquished power. He relinquished the ghost. How many of you have submitted your marriage fully into the hands of the Father? We've been married for 25 years. We still hadn't got to fully. But every area that we're not at fully is where conflict pops up.
Yep.
Every area
where
that
we're not completely have died.
Yeah.
in.
That's where
That we're
conflict
not
pops
dead
up.
in.
That's where conflict pops up.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to understand, we finna go. We finna let y'all go. Yeah, it's after 11. We started late. We finished a little late, but we gonna let y'all go, because I could go on. I could go deep. But Chandra already said we need to do a group teaching. And we working on that.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
That's coming. We're
And
gonna be
awesome.
helping
You
us
say
all.
you're working on building your community.
Yeah.
God definitely has to help. Oh, because you definitely want the right people, so you got to use discernment and be prayerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, my bad, honey.
My bad.
My bad, honey. I want you to understand conflict is going to come, but it doesn't have to draw you apart. It should bring you closer together. You got anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
You want me to sing my song?
Sing it.
You think this marriage is about you, don't you? Don't you? That's the only song I can think of now. Every time I just think about marriage and how I got that revelation for what's the movie? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So that's one of those things that stick in your head. But yeah. So, and that was just for me. And so this marriage is not about me.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about him, about God. So
yeah. We finna get out of here, fam. Listen, I don't know, y'all. It's about time for another wine and marriage. I know we still working on some other stuff. We gonna put it out. We want to do, when we serve people, we want to serve you right. And if we don't do something, it's because we didn't feel like we could execute it at the level that we want to execute it. But we have a whole office, and we absolutely gonna start doing some group. It'll be on some Saturday mornings. You can either get out your bed and come to these workshops, or not. That'll be completely up to you. But we definitely are going to pour into marriages, and give you the opportunity to ask questions up close and
Right.
personal and have these conversations.
This
So,
is about helping you carry that cross.
yeah,
Basically, that's what these workshops and things that we're going to do are about, and to bring like-minded couples and people together that want to please God, want to do marriage right, realize the work of marriage isn't easy, but it is definitely worth it, and we want God to get the glory, all of it, out of our marriages and relationships.
absolutely. I see you, Chandra. I see
Mhm.
you. Your weekend's full till July. We might do some weeknight things. We have to see what our schedule looks like in the week, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, we're gonna work on some stuff, some group sessions, because I think again we want to build that community in marriage because we need community in marriage. Marriage has always been a community thing. And watch this. You like um you look out and you say, well, how do you know marriage is a community thing? This and that. I like to always go to the most extreme example.
Uh-oh.
And the most extreme example is see when somebody violated their marriage vows, you didn't take them to the court. You did take them to a court of sorts, but when it's time to stone them, the community picked up the stones. The community had to be a witness. Now that's the most extreme thing, but the community is what
Extreme.
kept people in check
All right.
concerning their vows. If John wasn't treating Sally right, the community, the men went and checked John.
Mm-hmm.
If Sally wasn't taking care of her family, the women went and checked Sally. It was a community thing. All God said is don't be a busybody keeping up gossip,
Right.
but it's a community thing. So, listen, that's all we have for you. We're going to get up out of here. Thank you for tuning in to another Late Night Marriage with the Richest. Thank you for joining us in the Late Night Lounge.
Thank you.
We got to get our set up a little more loungy and stuff. But we thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you on the next video. God bless.
We love you guys. Good night.
Love you guys. Yeah.